Today I'm presenting on Unit 10 Security. Good morning everyone. I am going to present on the role of cybersecurity and incident response and information assurance for NMC healthcare. The focus will be in understanding how cyber resilience in the healthcare sector is important and what strategy uses to guarantee the protection of sensitive data in healthcare operations. Here's a quick overview of what I will be covering today, such as information assurance, ICT infrastructure and security, and incident response methods. In healthcare, protection of patient data is the most important part in ensuring trust and confidentiality during service delivery. The threats in healthcare are increasing with time, wherein some sophisticated attacks have targeted patient data and just patient data, as it is a valuable commodity to some people, as it's very easy to sell online. Another challenge for healthcare organizations such as NMC Healthcare is the changing regulatory compliance that they need to fulfill. This presentation will discuss these multiple parts. Information assurance forms the basis of any robust cybersecurity framework. It protects data and systems in terms of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. In the context of healthcare, it ensures that patient data is not accessed by unauthorized parties. The triad called CIA that focuses on the protection of data confidentiality, integrity, and availability. For instance, at NMC Healthcare, the employment of role-based access control will ensure that only authorized personnel can access sensitive patient records based on their role in the hospital, such as the head doctor can access far more than a nurse. Other key components of information assurance include risk management, which includes the identification, assessment, and mitigation of risk before they become serious issues or cause serious harm. We can reduce vulnerabilities in healthcare significantly by implementing measures such as encryption and access controls. The ICT infrastructure in the healthcare sector is very vulnerable to ransomware attacks, insider threats, and data breaches. Information assurance therefore plays a critical role. For instance, encryption guarantees that the sensitive data like patient records are secure, be it on servers or even local storage, for example computers. One of the most common encryption methods are AES, which AES 256 is standard in most protection ciphers. Other tools of great importance are firewalls and IDSs. Firewalls prevent unauthorized access from external threats through the network and allows monitoring to be done of any suspicious activity. And next generation firewalls can block phishing attempts and ransomware before they reach the internal network. Finally, access control policies that limit the access to the system to only authorized users is critical. The building blocks of the basic components of healthcare IT infrastructure are hardware such as routers, switches, storage devices, and operating systems. The common vulnerabilities include unpatched systems, weak passwords, outdated systems, as a lot of hospitals are resistant to changes. And they also use poor access controls, and among others. For example, delayed software updates expose the system to known exploits. In the same manner, weak passwords are among the easy targets for attackers. For this reason, every organization should use strong passwords and periodically update the software. Hopefully, NMC Healthcare isn't as resistant to changes as most other healthcare institutions. Cryptography is essential for protecting sensitive healthcare data, whether it's stored at rest, being used, or transmitted. Commonly, AES, which stands for Advanced, Standard, and RCA, which is asymmetric key encryption software, are used for encrypting patient information. For instance, using AES 256 to encrypt data at rest will provide total security against most attackers if you follow the suggestions and use the proper encryption tools. And its management should be handled in accordance with local and global encryption standards, hence ensuring the security of patient data. As technology advances, so will the threats advance as well. Cryptography must constantly evolve to counter these challenges. Emerging trends such as quantum key distribution leverages quantum mechanics to brute force and to create secure and intercept-proof encryption keys. Blowfish and twofish are lightweight, robust, systematic algorithms ideal for modern devices. Honey encryption tricks the attackers by generating false or fake data, yet realistic data, to mislead them. NMC healthcare must adopt these in the future as they become prevalent. Information governance is one of the most important components in securing sensitive data at NMC healthcare. It involves policy procedures and rules that make sure data is handled in a responsible and secure manner. These are complemented by legal considerations such as the GDPR, which is Europe's General Data Protection Act, or the local laws, which will impart tighter controls on patient data, including encryption, secure storage, and access controls. The IG framework is structured in a way that makes NMC healthcare compliant with its regulations and accountability for security. Cyber resilience is the continuity of the organization and its operations during a cyber attack. Since most electronics are function remotely now in hospitals, on Wi-Fi sometimes as well, it becomes a risk. So we need to ensure redundancy and backup systems to allow manual overrides if needed. This means that through daily encrypted backups at NMC Healthcare, we can reset and fully recreate the storage needed and systems so that attackers can shut down the hospital. Incident response planning also remains a critical aspect. A proper response mechanism towards potential threats predefines the actions required and minimizes the time for these actions to occur during the downtime. In the disaster recovery plan, for example, healthcare services can go on even when cyber attacks are occurring by isolating the systems that are redundant to keep hackers out. Eventually, these measures will enhance resilience and continuity. In healthcare, standards and regulations are to be followed as they can have severe penalties. One of the important general standard is ICO 27001. It is a standard that gives a systematic way of managing sensitive company data. This standard helps an organization identify risks and apply controls that mitigate identified risks. The UK has laws like the Data Protection Act of 2018, which complies to the GDPR, as it is very similar laws, in considering how personal information is processed and maintained. Similarly, the UAE is one of the countries that has cybersecurity laws and data protection laws similar to GDPR and Data Protection Act of 2018. And failure to adhere to these regulations have severe penalties. They are generally more severe in the UAE as they are stricter on attackers. Incident response can be categorized into four main types: preventative, detective, corrective, and recovery. Preventative controls are preventative measures that stop attacks before they can fully harm the system, which include firewalls and intrusion detection systems to block unauthorized access and isolate damaged systems. Detective measures are meant to serve incident detection at the time of their occurrence. Different tools like system security information and event management monitor network activities for real-time suspicious behavior and alert you of this behavior. Corrective measures focus on addressing vulnerabilities after an incident, for example, applying security patches or removing malware or increasing how strict the access controls are. Finally, recovery measures put the system back into its original state by using backups and is instituted, and while instituted, the disaster recovery plan will help with all of the recovery measures. This section will focus on the legislative framework, such as a comparison between UK and UAE laws. The Data Protection Act of 2018 establishes strict requirements for privacy, while the UAE has the UAE Federal Decree Law number 34 of 2021, which does serve a similar purpose as the Data Protection Act. They both implement severe penalties for any data breaches. Now for the laws concerning cybercrimes and unauthorized access, the UK has two acts, the Computer Misuse Act and the Serious Crimes Act of 2015, which they have different meanings, but they are similar in their, as the Serious Crime Act can apply to serious such as endangering people, while the Computer Misuse Act of 1990 is just misusing computer. The UAE has Federal Decree number 54 that targets hacking and unauthorized access with severe penalties. This law establishes severe consequences to any cyber offenses. Both countries prioritize data protection and address cybercrime through specific framework, albeit with somewhat minor details that are different, mainly in penalties and in the enforcement of compliance. In the UK, the Malicious Act 1988 plays a vital role for criminalizing harmful messages sent through electronic means, and the UAE still somewhat applies the federal law of number 54 and the Defamation Act for the UK again, which provides individuals legal recourse against any malicious messaging. For national security, the Terrorism Act of 2006 and the Counterterrorism Act of 2015 plays the UK's to combat the online spread of extremist content. The federal law number 54 also criminalizes online activities related to terrorism, reinforcing the country's commitment to having national security. In summary, the key comparisons between the UAE and UK legislative frameworks designed to deter cybercrimes. For data protection, both countries have stringent laws and prioritize the safeguarding of personal data, particularly in healthcare. But the UAE has severer penalties, such as imprisonment, while the UK only has penalties. Cybercrime, both legal systems impose robust penalties for unauthorized access and hacking. And for harassment and defamation, targeted legislation exists in both jurisdictions to protect against malicious communication and misinformation. In the UAE, the federal law is a very big law that encompasses many parts of the laws, while the UK has many smaller laws. For national security, they both have comprehensive laws aimed at deterring cybercrime and cyber terrorism and the spread of extremist content. In conclusion, while there are notable similarities between most of these laws, the methods for enforcement and specific provisions vary between the UAE and the UK. Different organizations have adopted strategies of incident response, each with varied success. For example, some of the proactive steps taken by NMC Healthcare include data encryption, regular audits, and a response team for multiple of the hospitals. This helps organization recover operations. Another example of attacks is in the UK, the NHS Trust, which after falling victim to the WannaCry ransomware attack in 2017, made a lot of improvements in terms of its management, recovery plan, and employee training to not allow such things to happen again. Comparing these approaches will be important to learning from the experiences of past attacks to other organizations. In a nutshell, information assurance is about healthcare data protection, ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, availability of systems, encryption, firewalls, and regular audits are just some of the measures that will help an organization secure itself. Incident response frameworks are equally critical in the way that they help their organization, and following regulatory requirements will help you protect yourself from external threats and protect the company's future, as fines can bring down companies. In the future, NMC Healthcare will continue to improve on its health and cybersecurity. That is the end of my presentation.
Yes. Which one of the law do you think is the best for NMC Healthcare and why?
Which law is the best?
Yeah, UK or UAE? More efficient.
I think the UAE, as it's a local law, should be prioritized over international laws. It's just valuable to learn from international laws as well, as they could have different approaches to how we do things as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.